What do you see in the disaster zone? Brokenness.
A monster of a hurricane.
You see the systems are failing and fallen and broken, and they're not working anymore.
The pure strength of the wind and rain, no match for the islands where she struck. This is Hurricane Beryl in full effect.
The hurricane did a lot of damage here, obviously, you can see in the background. It's very consistent with what the initial reports were of a high Category 4 storm, which means that all the vegetation's been stripped off, all the electrical system has been damaged, and sadly, a lot of our water systems have been compromised because of this.
When I was a boy, we had a ditty in school which said, June too soon, July stand by, August come it must. September remember, October it's all over. Well, June is not too soon, and it is not over in October. The systems are all topsy-turvy because of man-made climate change.
The fundamental question is, can mankind solve, can humans solve our own problems?
No hurricane this powerful has ever formed in the Atlantic Ocean so early in the year. Record ocean temperatures fueling the intensity of the storm.
This is an issue of human civilization. We are on the way in a basket to hell.
But Jesus gave us these signs of the times in which we're living, because he said this would be the state of the world right before he comes again.
And that's why I say that the world needs global, moral, strategic leadership. And that's why I say that ordinary citizens ought now to demand, because while we in the islands are the canaries, you are soon going to be the victims of that. Which country is hit by a hurricane every year? Do you know?
And he exercises all authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth and those who dwell on it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And when you read that, it's like, man, that's going to happen, right? And today, here in Barbados, we're with the family at some little food truck. And on a big speaker, this alert comes in, and a news reporter starts talking.
As a young mother of 3, how did you come to the idea of actually going on this response? How did you come to being at peace with that?
I want my family here. I want them to experience this. I want to see the hand of God. I want to see the joy in these people's eyes when you give them a globe track. And I want it to change their life like it's changed mine. And I called Karen and I said, hey, will you come? Please come.
And my first instinct is fear and being nervous as taking the kids. They've never been on a plane before, and traveling alone with them would be difficult. But we continued to pray and talk more, and one morning I had read John 14, and it says in there that God will send a helper and give you peace. So I took that as to give all of my fear and worries to Jesus, and to respond and to go as a family.
It was amazing to see their reaction when they came, and they jumped off the plane and they all came running and jumped in my arms. And just to be able to be a part of sharing the gospel and spreading the Three Angels message. I know Carrie loved just talking with the kids and talking with the moms and singing songs. Even the people were like, man, I cannot believe that you brought your family here with us.
When you arrive to like a natural disaster, all you want to do is just give your time to the people there and to help as much as you can. And so with children, you just kind of have to go at their pace and slow down a little bit. And sometimes you feel like that's not what you should be doing, but it is, and sometimes just being there with the people is enough. Should we take Elsie out, or is she doing good? Okay.
Medical missionary work is probably one of the most amazing works that God could give humanity at this time in Earth's history. Because, simply put, medical missionary work is a wedge or an opening door to the heart. Yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so. Yeah, good job, you guys. Look at that. My man got it all covered up. What do you think about that? Pretty good? Yeah. All right, Jack, tell me where you're at.
I'm under the hospital in a water tank.
What's the water tank for?
The water tank is for putting clean rainwater in, and then they can suck it out and use it.
Okay, and what are we trying to do here?
Empty the tanks because it's really dirty. There's more. Yeah, there's 2 more.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. You do that? Don't just go back and forth.
Now we go to Sabbath school. Sabbath school.
We didn't even really do a whole lot, just pray with them, sing with them, did some natural remedies. We were able to help with food. We were able to help with distributing supplies, taking food to people, and taking ice. And it was just really cool. I know my family, it changed their lives. We've come home with the desire to go again and even more.
Had an opportunity to serve, we took it. You know, and that could be something as simple as organizing medication. You know, the doctor there was overwhelmed, and all these supplies were coming in, and they were all in French, and he had no idea where to start. And so we just took our team and the 10 hands that we had, and we just went through all the medications. We organized, like, here's your trauma supplies, here's your medications, here's your antibiotic ointments, here's your sutures, and you know, here's baby formula. You know.
I think my greatest hope and the biggest, one of the biggest reasons that I do disaster response, even when my family doesn't come, is for them to see a demonstration of the gospel. And that's what I want more than anything. And I want them to grow up and see that in me, and I want to be able to take them on these responses and for them to grow up in that. Because I truly believe that there's no greater gift that we can give them than to teach them and raise them in the service of others.
Disaster response is not complicated. Can you hand somebody a bottle of water? Can you pray with someone? Can you organize medications? You know, can you give the gifts of God? You know, when God shows up, you know, like, these are things that you don't even have to bring. You just have to bring the willing heart and the hands, and God will fill those hands with an opportunity to reach people with good news for eternity. And this is really, at the end of the day, why is it that these disasters are happening? It's because Jesus is coming soon. That's the only reason. It's not because of climate change. It's not because of any other scientific explanation. The Bible gives us an explanation that this earth is waxing old like a garment, and it's falling apart under the weight of sin. And Jesus is coming soon. And these are given as signs, merciful signs, to point us back to our Creator who's created us, who's redeemed us, who's called us, who wants to claim us for eternity. This is why these disasters are happening. And people know that. When they've just survived this event, they've gone through this event, they recognize that God is calling them. I can't tell you how many conversations we had with people in which they said, I know I'm not where I should be spiritually, but I can see that God has spared my life, and I want to know Him. And isn't that a merciful God? Like, people ask the question, like, how could God do this? How could He cause all this destruction? God's not causing the destruction, but He's so desperate to save that He would allow these disasters to unfold so that He could just have a chance to have a conversation with someone, to reach them for eternity.
Revelation 13. Verse 12, and he exercises all authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth and those who dwell on it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And when you read that, it's like, man, that's going to happen, right? And today, here in Barbados, we're with the family at some little food truck, on a big speaker, the Prime Minister of Barbados was talking. So much gun violence in Barbados, and so many earthquakes. They said it's very rare to have so many earthquakes. And then they said, we are calling for a turn back to God. This island has turned away from God, and we need people back. We need to have peace, and the only way to do that is to turn to God. And she's calling for a higher power to enforce this, and she's calling for the exact words where we need to unite church and state to enforce this this mandate. And the mandate was that all weekend they were enforcing, especially on Saturday in the afternoon, a time of prayer, and Sunday was mandated to worship God. They called it a day to turn back to God, and it's mandated here in Barbados, and it's just crazy to see this happen right before our eyes. The time is so near. You know, we don't have much time. You know, the world is going around, giving in marriage and marrying and drinking, and we see it all around us in the bars, in the beach. Everyone is just asleep, and the mark of the beast is literally just coming down on them without them even knowing. So I just walked up to the lady at the food truck and I said, I've got to tell you something. I said, what we just heard on the radio is not good. And she looked at me, she's like, why? But the world needs more of God.
And that's why I say that the world needs global, moral, strategic leadership.
Probably we should be debating a bill requiring every American to attend a church of their choice on Sunday.
When you take away the freedom of choice and you take away that freedom of conscience, then that is not good. And she was just like, huh, well, tell me a little more. So I started explaining Revelation 13 and 14, the mark of the beast, and how it all ties in, and that when the church takes power with the government, and how that can lead to even more, and how they're going to mandate it even more. She was just like, wow. She's like, thank you so much. I see this. You know, and it's like, that was just one person. You know, there's 50 Adventist churches on Barbados. We need to be activating people all over the world, because we don't have much time. What we're neglecting to do in times of peace, we're going to have to do in times of terrible trouble, which are right around the corner. And especially in the United States, you know, we just had an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. We're having
what kind of maritime?
On the brink of civil war, on the brink of World War III. More derechos in Iowa and Illinois that are not common. We're having hurricanes and earthquakes and tornadoes and gun violence, and everything is just going through the roof, and it's just crumbling down on itself. You know, Babylon has fallen, it's fallen. And this world's coming to an end, and we are asleep. You know, we need to wake up. We can't neglect, we can't pass even one person by. We have to tell the world, Jesus is coming soon.